the Delta variant, and then will spread it to their friends and family members who are also unvaccinated. And that's going to cause a lot of disruption, a lot of pain and suffering that doesn't need to happen, because we have the solution at hand. It's just to get vaccine into people's arms.
Dr. Delgado, thank you. All right, I want to go to Senator Tom Cotton right now, because this is among the many things he cited that we get to the bottom of what got COVID-19 and all these variants since started. A measure that he was looking at in the Senate to get to the bottom of all of this might have had a tough sell, but in the House, almost a duplicate version, is moving along pretty nicely. The question then becomes, if the Chinese are still unwilling to help out on the sources of all of this, can we sue them to force answers, or at least those who've lost loved ones, to sue outright to get money? Senator Tom Cotton with us. Senator, where does this stand?
Well, Neil, thanks for having me on. You know, early last year, I was one of the first to ring the alarm bell about the coronavirus. And then I was also one of the first to suggest that we should make China pay, in this case, make them pay very concretely for the harm they've caused to Americans and our families and our businesses. There's a model for this kind of legislation. We've done it before with the 9/11 victims. We've done it for various terrorist victims as well. There's legislation in the House too. It's got bipartisan support. This is just one of many ways that we can make China pay for unleashing this pandemic on the world.
It doesn't look like they're budging, Senator, and I'm wondering, of those who do try to sue China, getting money from them could prove even tougher, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's an experience we've had with, for instance, lawsuits have succeeded against the Ayatollahs in Iran for their terror campaigns against Americans or various other foreigners, but it certainly makes it much harder for the Chinese Communist Party to do business around the world, to place monies and assets outside of China's border. Look, I don't expect them to cooperate on these matters, just like I don't expect them to cooperate on the investigation to get to the bottom of the origins of the coronavirus, but I think most Americans can use their common sense on that as well.
You know, we have had luck in the past going after nations, sanctioning them, putting curbs on them. Libya comes to mind, and extracting cash that way. Do you think that should be the next, tack we take if China isn't addressing any of this?
Well, Neil, I think there's a lot of steps we could take that would make China pay for this pandemic, and there's steps that frankly should have been taken long ago. For instance, we can revoke their permanent most favored nation status, so the President and the Congress have to decide every year if we're going to continue giving special trade privileges to China. We can insist that international financial organizations like the World Bank treat China like the advanced industrial economy it is, not a third world economy as it once was, and stop giving them sweetheart financing deals. We can yank visas from Chinese Communist Party officials and their kids so they can't benefit from the United States' free and open system and our world-class higher education institutions. There's lots that we can do to make China pay for this and make it clear that we're taking these actions in part because of Chinese malevolence and deceitfulness in unleashing this pandemic on the world.
What caught my interest today concerning you, Senator, was your pretty aggressive back and forth with Michael Gilday, the Chief of Naval Operations, over his recommended reading for new recruits in the Navy. Among them, how to be an anti-racist. You were not a fan of that, and this exchange kind of shows it. I'd like to harken back to earlier, this exchange.
When you're asked questions about this, you characterize it as a criticism of sailors for being weak. That is a straw man. It's not a criticism of sailors being weak. It's a criticism of your decision to include these books on your professional reading list. How did these books get on your reading list?
So I chose a variety of books. There are over 50 books on my reading list to give our sailors a wide range of information from which I hope they can make facts-based decisions on both their ability to look outwardly at potential aggressors like China and Russia, as well as looking inwardly and being honest with ourselves in areas that we need to improve.
Senator, he obviously defended including such books in his recommended reading, but it did surprise people that was even out there. What did you think of what he said, that this is something, a way for those to just be open to all sorts of views?
Well, at best, it's a waste of time of our sailors to be reading such nonsense. They should be focused on basic seamanship or maritime strategy, naval history, leadership, and so forth. But more likely, it actually subverts